Albert Pujols has a new team, and the Angels are banking that he can mirror his past success. Meanwhile, Buster Posey has returned from a tough injury. With their star back, the Giants hope to return to championship form. Two California teams continue the march to opening day from Arizona. Next. Welcome to ESPN's telecast of MLB Spring Training presented by Gillette. This afternoon from Scottsdale Stadium in Scottsdale, Arizona, it's the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim taking on the San Francisco Giants. Hi, everybody. John Shambi alongside Rick Sutcliffe and Aaron Boone. A couple of contenders matching up here today, and the Angels spent a ton of money this offseason shoring up the pitching staff with C.J. Wilson. But, Sut, the guy at first base that they locked up, he'll help a lot offensively.
No, there's no doubt about that. When you just look at the career of Albert Pujols, it's easy to see why they call him an offensive machine. Just an average year for him is enough to carry a lot of ball clubs. But still, over the winter, there were a lot of other owners that said the Angels owner, Artie Moreno, was spending too much money. Artie Moreno says, I'm not spending, I'm investing. I plan on getting every bit of that back. And if Albert Pujols can get October baseball back to Anaheim, he'll certainly do that.
Well, back in 2010, October belonged to the San Francisco Giants. And Aaron Boone, October belonged to Buster Posey, their rookie catcher then, and he's coming back from a nasty injury.
Yeah, John, when Buster was called up to the big leagues in May of 2010, he instantly solidified the San Francisco Giant offense. He would go on to win Rookie of the Year and lead this team to a World's Championship. Last year, his season ended with an awful play at the plate where he hurt the ankle, and essentially the Giants' season ended with it as they could not generate a consistent enough offense to get back to the postseason. If they are going to get back, he needs to return to form and return to the middle of this lineup. He is as important to his team as anyone in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, the Giants last year were 29th in the majors in runs scored. For more on Buster Posey, we bring in the fourth member of our team. Here's Tim Kirchin.
Thank you, John. The plan for Posey this year is to catch 110 to 120 games and then play another 20 games at first base. But there's a lot of work to be done to get him ready. Today is the first time that he will have caught back-to-back games of 7 innings or more. And, of course, he's going to have to get to the point where he can catch back-to-back games of 9 innings or more. He told me today back-to-back is good, but I'm looking for 10 in a row. But at this point, if he can catch 120 games this year, that would be a bonus for the Giants.
Now, Posey once again will handle one of the top pitching staffs in all of baseball. Today we'll get a look at the Giants' ace. Two-time Cy Young Award winner Tim Lincecum will go for San Francisco. It's the first pitch coming your way next from Scottsdale. Welcome back to ESPN's telecast of MLB Spring Training, presented by Gillette. And here in Scottsdale, Arizona, from Scottsdale Stadium, a couple of teams that expect to be two of the top teams in their respective leagues, the Angels and the Giants. Kung Fu Panda and the San Francisco Giants out there in the West will be battling the Arizona Diamondbacks. Mike Scioscia, 13th season as Angels manager, and of course the World Championship in 2002. Here's the lineup that he'll throw out there. Last year, 10th in the league in runs per game. They have a guy making a transition from first to third base. Mark Trumbo gave some pop last year, Aaron.
One of the questions they wanted answered to, can Mark Trumbo play third base every day? They feel like he'll be adequate enough to at least get some significant playing time. Remains to be seen.
Now the lineup will have a challenge today. They go up against the Giants ace.
Well, the best hair in all of baseball, and starting to put together some kind of resume. Is 27 years of age, a model of not only consistency, but excellent. 4 straight years with 32-plus starts, 200 innings, and, of course, 200 strikeouts.
Yeah, 5'11", 160 pounds, but still you would describe him as a horse. So Lincecum ready to work and delivers to Ibar. And the first pitch of the game, ball 1 in the dirt. Eric Ibar, the shortstop, very good defender. And their leadoff guy. Career highs in those two categories last year. Angels lineup will have a little different look from a season ago. Of course, Albert Pujols and the return of Kendrys Morales. In the air, right side. And Burris puts the squeeze on that one away. Let's check out the Giants defense in back of Tim Lincecum. In the outfield, it'll be Huff, Pagan, and Gregor Blanco out there in right field. The middle, Crawford and Burris. A couple of youngsters on the corners. Pablo Sandoval at third, Brandon Belt over there at first, and of course Buster Posey getting to start behind the plate for the second straight game and playing back-to-back as Tim Kirchin said for the first time. There's a breaking ball to Howie Kendrick. And Booney, you think this guy is primed for another big year?
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys entering the prime of his career that's slowly gotten better and better each season.
Out to short is Crawford on the move. Nice dig at first, Belt 2 away.
And I really think he'll be a guy that will thrive hitting in that 2-hole behind Albert Pujols, who's obviously going to drive him in a bunch this season in Anaheim.
Well, speaking of Albert Pujols, here he is digging in. The big fella signed 10 years, $240 million, and quite an investment, Rick Sutcliffe.
Well, he's putting together quite a career. In fact, when you look at his career slugging percentage, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, and Lou Gehrig, that's it. One thing, talking with pitching coach Dave Righetti before the game about Lincecum, he's 10 days away from his 4th consecutive opening day. We're going to see more breaking balls.
Yeah, last year he threw the slider more than the curveball. Kind of changed it up a little bit, and you know that's a difference for him here in 2011. What about this year?
Well, he has not thrown a slider all of spring training, not even on the side. He waited. That's the last piece of the puzzle to add today.
Towards the hole, Crawford there. And that's played by the shortstop. Lincecum gets him 1, 2, 3 on 7 pitches. Beautiful day in Scottsdale, and the Giants are coming up to hit. First, here come the Giants' scoreless game. Bruce Bochy, the 6th season as skipper of the San Francisco Giants, and here is his lineup. And we focus on Pablo Sandoval. Missed about a quarter of the season last year with a hand injury.
John, with all the struggles offensively for the Giants a season ago, Pablo Sandoval, one of the few bright spots, rebounded from a difficult 2010 season. They think with he and the addition of Melky Cabrera surrounding Posey, they have the makings of a middle of the order that can support their great pitching staff.
In the offseason, the Angels dealt away their catcher Jeff Mathis and acquired this left-hander Brad Mills from Toronto.
Yeah, and John, Mike Scioscia was telling me before the game that he's a crafty left-hander. He's not going to overpower you. His out pitch, if any, would be the changeup. Back-to-back solid years in AAA for Brad Mills. He's hoping to make that final stride to the big leagues this season.
He'll deal with Angel Pagan to start it off. And ball one to the leadoff man and center fielder. Pagan, who was dealt away for Andres Torres to the New York Mets. So a little different look in the outfield for San Francisco this year. And there's a strike.
Aaron, I still feel like there's a lot of questions in that San Francisco outfield for Bruce Bochy.
Sounded like it broke his bat. Popped up, and the pitcher will handle it.
Well, you're right, Rick. Angel Pagan, who had an outstanding 2010 season, came back down to earth a little bit last year, has really struggled so far this spring. And I think one of the challenges right now for Bruce Bochy is finding someone he can count on in that leadoff hole. Pagan's going to get first crack, but they want to start to see some offense, especially as the spring winds down here.
Now, one of the guys that is now in the mix, the man at the plate, Gregor Blanco, who could play all three outfield spots, runs pretty well. You could be seeing a decent amount of him. This team was on base percentage challenged last year, last in the league, and that's an area where he can help. Right side and through for a base hit. So Blanco aboard. Giants a season ago, like the Angels, won 86 games. They finished 8 games in back of Arizona. Melky Cabrera, Angel Pagan with the team now. Beltran goes. Pat Burrell retires. Cody Ross. They deal away Jonathan Sanchez. And Buster Posey now back in the mix.
Not really any good news to report about Freddie Sanchez. The discomfort, he got a shot the other day. Bruce Bochy told us before the game in that shoulder, but they're not looking for him to help anytime soon.
And here is Buster Posey. That gruesome injury, the collision at the plate with the Marlins, Scott Cousins. And his season was ended in late May.
And you really get the feeling talking to him that he is fine. You ask him how you're doing, and I'm good to go. Now it's really just a matter of building up the innings, the strength, the ability to bounce back day in and day out. Like Tim said in the open, he's catching his second consecutive game for the first time this spring training. But, guys, so important to this team. He leads that pitching staff, so important in the middle of the order.
Good off-speed pitch, and he was out in front. A nasty left ankle injury for Buster Posey. And when he started to get his running, and he was actually challenging the beat writers to races in the outfield during pitchers and catchers. Mills ahead 1-2.
I tell you what, guys, for me, for 5 months, including October, 2 years ago for Buster Posey, this was Johnny Bench. Not only hitting in the heart of the order, what he did offensively, but the way he, as a rookie, took charge of that pitching staff.
Giants winning it all, beating the Rangers in 5 in 2010. Good block behind the plate by Bobby Wilson. Posey, who edged out Jason Hayward for the 2010 Rookie of the Year. Here, a couple of guys, or a few guys who have won Rookie of the Year and won it all. Dontrell Willis, the last, back in 03 with Florida.
I think one of the real impressive things about Buster Posey, as we get a look at the nasty collision at the plate from a year ago.
Yeah, Scott Cousins just barreling him over, and it was that left ankle that got folded under. And he had to be helped off the field, and his season was over right there at the end of May.
And just one of those things you hate to see. You hate to see anyone get hurt like that, but when it's a young player that really was slowly becoming the face, one of the faces of Major League Baseball, to go down like that was difficult. And frankly, this Giant team could never recover from it. They were atrocious, really, offensively, and you can trace it back right to that injury.
Pushes that one foul.
But I think getting back to 2010, as great as it was, I think the most impressive thing to me was talking to guys and the leadership role he took from the day he had the respect of the great pitching staff and respect of veteran players. Who he's not a boisterous, a loud type leader, but he definitely was a voice for this team as a rookie.
Son, how big a deal is it as a pitcher when you're working with a rookie catcher and to gain confidence?
There's such a comfort zone in that relationship, but I really think as a pitcher, they missed his bat more than what he did behind the plate. He was an offensive machine. Whiteside, you know, their other catchers are solid defensively. They can catch, they can throw, they handle the staff well, but I mean, it's just rare to have this kind of offensive power from a guy that's behind the plate.
Another throw to first. Last year, I mean, the facts. He goes down 378 at bats between Chris Stewart, Eli Whiteside, and Hector Sanchez. They combined to hit 205.
No, Napoli went to Toronto and they traded him again. Did they trade Mathis as well?
Did he go? Runner on the move. Great jump, Gregor Blanco.
Well, that's already his 10th stolen base this spring training. Mills keeping him close, throwing over a lot, but a great read off the left-handed pitcher, and Blanco easily beats that throw to second base. Take a look from here, a great jump. But Rick, you were saying there's question marks in this outfield. Gregor Blanco has kicked in the door and really made a case to be not only on the opening day roster, but to be in the starting lineup. And he may very well find himself leading off ball games. There is a buzz around camp about what Gregor Blanco has come in and done, the quality of his at-bats, the ability to work the count. And that's something the Giants need. They need guys to get on base in front of the middle of this order. And I think Gregor Blanco's going to get that opportunity.
I totally agree with you. I remember watching him for Team Venezuela back in '09. He hit 400. This guy looked like a star in the making, but it just hasn't happened yet.
On a hop, and Ibar able to collect that one and throw out Posey. So an extended at bat, a good at bat for Buster Posey. 2 down. 9 pitches. Let's check out how Buster Posey was getting down the line.
And this is probably one of the last things, or the slowest thing to come, is his base running. And look, he's not a burner, never has been, never will be. But I think the one issue he's had is stopping and starting on the bases, cutting, turning the corner on the base pass. Really, catching has not been much of an issue at all this entire spring.
Pablo Sandoval takes a strike. Well, I think that the biggest area that they'll focus on, how does he feel tomorrow after playing back-to-back games, Buster Posey?
Lower hips, full canvas.
Kung Fu Panda, we mentioned the injury last year. This is another guy that they need to be productive this season.
Well, and we know that with Pablo, he's going to be a lot more productive from the left side of the plate. A switch hitter, he's going to be in the heart of the order. Not really been swinging the bat well as of late in spring training until yesterday.
Chase there. He did have LASIK surgery in the offseason. See a lot of guys do that between seasons. And there are the splits.
I think a lot of times the numbers will fool you a little bit with the Giants when you think about that park that they play in and how pitcher friendly it can be.
Lifted in the air is Kendrick with the sunglasses on, puts it away. And the Giants leave a man. End of one here in Scottsdale. They'll score on to the second here in Scottsdale. The Angels and the Giants. Tim Lincecum will go back to work. Last year posted a spectacular ERA of 2.74, but didn't get a ton of support. Only won 13 games. Delivers up and in, ball one to Vernon Wells. He's on the MLB preview issue cover is Tim Lincecum with Clayton Kershaw. Kind of cool shot with the two of them on the front. Here's a look at that cover.
And you can't blame Tim Lincecum for wanting to do that to Clayton Kershaw. They hooked up a lot last year, and even though Lincecum pitched terrific, he had 0 wins to show for his 5 starts against the Dodgers.
Now, you were there for the shoot, right?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, they had an absolute blast, and you know, you think about the rivalry with the Dodgers and the Giants, and it was really special to spend a couple hours with those guys together.
Wells bounces the third one away. Clayton Kershaw winning the Cy Young Award last year. He's developed into one of the best pitchers in all of baseball.
He was unbeatable down the stretch, that being Clayton Kershaw. And when you talk to his teammates, you talk to his coaches, I mean, everything you can possibly say good about a human being is the things you hear. Lincecum was the one that shocked me. He's always been kind of reserved. If you've got a question about baseball, he would always accommodate you and answer it. But, he never really went out of his way to seek any kind of publicity. He was outgoing. He was funny and had an absolute blast at that. I got to sit down with both of them for a few minutes afterwards, and a lot of fun.
Bobby Abreu drives one to center. Pagan drifting. And there's 2 down. Tim Lincecum has put together a pretty impressive resume to start his career. Booney, do you remember the first time you saw him, first time you watched him, what you thought?
I do. It was Sunday Night Baseball. He got called up, and I remember watching this thing they called the Freak on the mound, and all I remember is right away his stuff leaped off the screen on my TV set, and I knew right away that this kid was special, and the lean on the delivery and everything, and he was electric that first night that I saw him pitch in San Francisco.
Good breaking ball to Trumbo. What about you? I mean, that motion is different, to say the least. What were your first thoughts seeing it?
Well, there's not a whole lot of body there, and he's a guy that has to do everything he can to generate power, and he's able to do that. 5'10", not even 160 pounds. When you talk about a big league fastball, John, you talk about having one of three things. You want velocity, you want late life, late movement, or you want deception. When you talk about the fastball of Tim Lincecum, he's got all three.
Yeah, the mechanics, it's the way he launches himself at the plate. He may measure about 5'10", but the release point, he gets himself so far out there, it's like he's 6'8", 6'9", in that range.
You know what was so impressive to me about Tim Lincecum? Remember in 2010, I believe it was August, he really struggled. And I think it was the first time in his career, probably in his life, where he struggled on the baseball field. And it was a bit of a gut check time for him. And I remember him and Matt Cain late in that season really worked on developing their changeup, and it became such a weapon for him down the stretch and on into the postseason. And obviously the rest is history. They won the World Championship.
Aubrey Huff finding the sun, but able to put it away. And Lincecum able to get him 1, 2, 3. Well, a righty, a lefty, Lincecum and Kershaw, two of the top pitchers in all of baseball. Of course, the home of the San Francisco Giants, spring training home of the San Francisco Giants, Scottsdale Stadium, as we go to the bottom of the second. The Angels and the Giants scoreless. And Brad Mills will continue on the hill for the Angels. Another packed house, great atmosphere here.
How about the attendance out here in Arizona during spring training this year? They are setting all kinds of records.
The game continues to explode, and I know everybody that gets a chance to be a part of spring training out here absolutely loves it.
John, and don't you think, too, the way the season ended last year and right on through the postseason, the excitement of Game 6, the World Series, Game 7, you know, when the regular season ended, that Game 162, I don't ever remember a better day in baseball than that.
Yeah, as good as it gets. A lot of excitement. Well, here's Aubrey Huff dealing with the Angels and Albert Pujols. And today Huff getting the start in left field. You know that he would prefer to be playing first base. Huff last year actually began the year as their right fielder. They started the year with Brandon Belt as their first baseman.
Yeah, that didn't work out very well with him in right field. I saw some of that.
He had a good line at the beginning when Brandon Belt was told he had made the team. He actually teared up a little bit when Bruce Bochy let him know. And Aubrey Huff said, "What are you crying for? I'm the one that has to play right field."
You know what, Aaron, I know you can relate to this too. Like, what's going through the mind right now of Brad Mills and not knowing where he's going to be in 2 weeks.
Little roller right side. One down.
Well, Rick, I think that's a great point. Look, he has come out and done everything he's needed to do to pitch himself into the competition, to maybe even pitch himself onto this team. But he can take solace, and let's say he doesn't make the team as that fifth starter. Jerome Williams threw in a minor league game. Everything went well. You know what he's done? He's planted a seed in Mike Scioscia and the rest of the coaching staff's mind that, hey, when trouble amounts, when somebody goes down, I'm ready to step in and be that guy. And so far what we've seen of him today, he's on top of his game.
And you know what? They're not going to need that fifth starter Mike Scioscia was talking about because of off days in the scheduling till April the 15th. So, you know, it might be the case with this youngster. You send him down, get him a couple of more starts so he's even more ready.
Yeah, at times we get so close in these spring training fifth starter battles, like the Red Sox, for example, and you kind of forget that the way the early season starts, a lot of times the fifth starter isn't a factor early. Strike to Belt. And count 1-2.
I think back to 1979, and I didn't know if I was going to make the Dodgers or not. And if I did, I was going to be the 13th man on the staff. And I went ahead and rented an apartment in Albuquerque.
Kendrick with another chance at it.
There were only a couple of places there that honestly I could afford. So I went ahead and sent my deposit to hold down that apartment, thinking, you know, I hope for the best, but I'm going to plan for the worst. That's what's going through a lot of these guys' minds right now. The trucks were at all of the ballparks yesterday. You put everything on your van. If you're Tim Lincecum, you know where you're going. You send your bicycles back. You send all the stuff that you need. If you're Brad Mills, you don't know what to do.
Three different options there for Mike Scioscia. And really three different types of options. You had Jerome Williams, a former Giant, who's a veteran type. This guy kind of on the cusp. He's had some time at the big league level, but he's been a AAA guy, so he's been close. And then Garrett Richards at 23, trying to make the jump from AA. Third base, Trumbo right there, his first chance. And fires a strike to Albert Pujols. Mills works an easy second. We'll go to the third in a scoreless game. Wednesday, it's more Major League Baseball spring training presented by Gillette as the New York Yankees will head over to Lake Buena Vista, Florida to take on the Atlanta Braves. It's 1 Eastern, and that's coming up tomorrow. Major League Baseball spring training, ESPN at 1 o'clock. East Coast time. Here's Tim Lincecum back to work. It'll be the bottom third. Borges, Wilson, and Mills against the righty. Peter Borges, one of the fastest players in the American League, and guys, a great defensive center fielder.
Yeah, and one of the reasons Torrey Hunter, who's still very good out there, was willing to move to right field, because he realized just how special Peter Borges was, or is, and how much ground he's able to cover. And to Torrey Hunter's credit, he's moved over to right field and been an impact defender in right field. And it just gives them another center fielder in the Angel outfield.
When you look at the defensive range for an average center fielder, those are the balls that an average center fielder gets to in the red. Look at Borges, the extra ground that he covers. And it's a park that plays big, so you need somebody that can cover a lot of area out there. I mean, that's a lot of extra space that guy is able to get to. You'd figure a Gold Glove is in his future.
Well, you're exactly right, particularly when he moved 12 Gold Gloves from that position. The 9 consecutive Gold Gloves for Torrey Hunter. And let's not forget Vernon Wells, that was his position in Toronto, and he played it terrific for a lot of years.
And Rick, you know, as a pitcher, center field is one of the few positions on the field where if you have an impact defender.
Yeah.
Rip left center field. Huff on the move, can't get there. And speeding around third, Borges in to score. Wilson with an RBI double. The Angels lead it 1-0.
When you have an impact defender at center, short, catcher, it changes the game once a week. They run down a ball that elite guys don't, as we see Wilson, the catcher, look like a hanging slider out over the plate and just sticks it in the gap. And Borges doesn't even have to break a sweat to score on that one. Those great center fielder. When I played with Mike Cameron in Cincinnati or Ken Griffey Jr., they just changed the game because they make plays that 80% of the league doesn't think about making, and it just kills that rally once a week. It's a big deal.
Corners in, guarding against the bunt. Mills taking ball one. The other thing, too, is that, as you said, a park that plays big, and for the most part, it's a fly ball staff. So a lot of balls in the air, so you need that outfield that can go track it down.
And I think more and more, each year we're seeing more teams really put a premium on defense again. You know, for a long time there, it seemed like in the 90s and 2000, a lot of the steroid era where home runs were the premium. Now defense is really being valued, much like it was 20, 30 years ago.
I think the Rays are a good example of that. Tampa Bay, they really catch it. In 3 of the 4 years that they've made the playoffs, their defense has been brilliant.
That's the one thing that their manager, Joe Madden, talks about. We play terrific defense on a nightly basis.
2-2 now.
I don't think we're going to swing the bat here, boys. I think Mike Scioscia has sent a message to his young pitcher. We're an American League team. We don't do a lot of this. And the last thing I want to see is you get hurt against Tim Lincecum.
So Brad Mills up there observing and evaluating, basically.
And I think Tim Lincecum knows that as well. He's just having trouble right now. Since all of a sudden he got put into the stretch, he can't find the zone.
Got him looking. Again, because we're in a National League park, we play by the National League rules.
Take a look at the replay here, catching the outside corner. Well, you know, when Buster Posey brings it back to the corner, even he thought that should have been ball 4.
Back to the top of the order, and Eric Ibar.
And speaking of defense, John, you touched on it in the first. Eric Ibar, has really become an elite defender. And when you think of the top two teams in the American League West looking like two giants, the Rangers, the Angels, defense has become a real premium for both of these clubs, and they have a lot of interchangeable parts and a lot of very good athletes that can cover up a lot of mistakes.
Aaron, that's a great point. Talking with a lot of the clubs here in Arizona this spring, you hear everybody talking about run prevention, not so much run production anymore.
Awfully tough to slug your way to a title. When you can pitch and really catch it, it gives you a chance night in and night out.
Now, you guys have done spring training out here a while. I really have no experience out here. I had a scout tell me pregame, though, that it's harder to pick your team out here because the ball jumps a little bit more and you can get fooled.
There's some offensive guys that will fool you. It happens every year.
Lincecum to 2-1. And Belt there to handle the chance. Wilson moves up to 90 feet, 2 away.
Well, it almost plays kind of like Colorado did back in the day. Very large fields you see here in Scottsdale, 360 down the lines, 430 to dead center, but the ball travels so well. And so outfielders have to play deeper. The fields are hard, so there's a lot more hits. Pitchers are in trouble a lot more, and it just makes for great offense. So tough place to pitch.
And I think this guy right here is going to have a great offensive year. And the #1 reason is the big man in the on-deck circle behind him. Here's a spot where, as a pitcher, you're going to try to throw a strike. And if Howie Kendrick sees a lot of fastballs during the season, he's going to do a lot of damage.
Kendrick, a career-high 18 homers last year. What will he do with that guy in back of him?
I think you can look for him to get that average up to 300. Maybe enter the 20s in home runs and score a boatload of run in this potentially very good offense.
I think he's going to drive in a lot of runs as well. With Borges probably going to be hitting 9th in that lineup. As you mentioned, Ibar, he's become one of the better players in the game in the leadoff spot. He's going to have a lot of opportunities. And you're right. Standing on first base, Albert Pujols is going to drive him in from there quite a bit as well.
That one right at Crawford. Kendrick retired, and that is the inning. But the leadoff walk to Borges leads to a run as Bobby Wilson delivers an RBI double. And the Angels lead this one 1-0 midway in the third. The Angels made a lot of headlines, maybe the most headlines this offseason, as they Albert Pujols and C.J. Wilson to those mega deals, and finally they will get the services back of Kendrys Morales, that freak injury in 2010. And then one of the questions, can Mark Trumbo help them last year at first base learn that new position over there at third? They have Alberto Callaspo, does such a good job with the glove last year as well, got on base for them. So those two guys, Trumbo and Callaspo, can handle third base if it ends up being that Trumbo struggles defensively.
Exactly. Let's not forget, Callaspo is a great defender, but he's a very good offensive player too, so it's not a bad option. And I think they feel like they will feel like Trumbo can play it adequately enough to get some starts there.
All right, for more answers on this Angels team, we go downstairs, and Tim Kirkchin standing by with the Angels skipper.
Mike, how you doing down here?
Like the view from down here, that's for sure, Tim.
I hope you're going to be protecting me being a catcher if we get anything back here.
We'll be okay. Don't worry. It comes quick, but we usually get out of the way most of the time.
What have you seen from Albert Pujols this spring? Something maybe you didn't know about him that has really impressed you?
Well, I think you hear great things about a guy that not only of his talent, but how hard he works. And firsthand, you can see why not only he's reached his plateau of being one of the elite players, not only of our generation, of any generation, but why he's maintained it for a long time. And that really makes us feel good about the prospects of him playing for a long time for us at a very high level.
You told me the other day you watched him take a secondary lead in a workout, and players were following that. How important is that?
Well, it's important. It's always, especially base running for what we do. But if you watch him take defense on right side defense, or you watch a secondary lead just in warm-ups, he works at every part of this game for a young player, you just kind of want to point him and say, hey, just watch Albert the way he prepares for a game, the way he practices. It's been great to see firsthand.
The other big free agent you signed was C.J. Wilson. What have you seen from him, man? Are there many C.J. Wilsons in camp for you?
I wish we had more. He's got a great arm. He reminds us of that Dos Equis commercial, the most interesting guy in the world, because he's so diverse in so many things he has. But one thing, when he gets on that mound, he has tunnel vision. There's one thing that CJ's focusing on, that's making a pitch. He trusts his stuff. He's got a great arm, and he's going to be big for us this year.
Kendrys Morales, tell us about his comeback. Where is he, and where is he headed?
He's just everything he's done has been magnificent so far. He's running well. Today, since we don't have a DH, he's playing in a AAA game, getting some at bats. But he's hit great from the right side, left side, running well. He's gone first to home, broken up a double play. He's done most of the stuff that we, that he's going to need to do in. Most of the stuff he's going to need to do to play this game on an everyday basis.
And again, opening day, what's the likelihood that he'll be ready opening day?
Well, he'll be ready. If there are no setbacks, he's going to be ready. If he's, he's right now, he's ready to play in a major league game if we opened up today. There's a question, obviously, with stamina. No one has a crystal ball to know how many he's going to play in a row. He's ready, and hopefully there won't be any setbacks, and he'll be ready to go, and he'll be on our opening day lineup.
Big experiment this spring is Mark Trumbo to third. We just watched him throw it across the diamond. We know this. He can really throw. How has he done down there?
He's been terrific. We just need him to make the routine play, Tim. And he's done more than that. He showed good range. You're right about his throwing arm. He can throw with anybody that's ever played third base. He can really get it over there. And his hands have played well, and he's certainly going to get a lot of looks down there at third for us.
How much does it help that he's a good athlete, good feet, all that?
Well, he wouldn't be able to make that transition. We wouldn't even have attempted it if we didn't see that agility. He's looked good in right field. He's really become a good first baseman, and he's taking to third base and doing a nice job.
Where is your bullpen right now, Mike, as far as building it and your closer and everything else?
Well, that's still a work in progress, as most bullpens are in the spring. Jordan Walden, his last couple hours, has really stepped up. Scott Downs, LaTroy Hawkins. These guys are all throwing very well. And one guy that we had a couple years ago pitching well that is back and seems like he has his stuff back is Kevin Jepson. So I think the depth of our pen is going to be important. And although we have great starting pitching, you definitely need those guys who are going to hold leads at the end of games, and we'll get there.
And what is the status of the fifth starter on this club?
It's a number of guys, and one guy we're looking at right now, Brad Mills, is one guy that we're looking at. Garrett Richards has really pitched well, had a great outing. Jerome Williams was slowed by a hamstring. He's getting back, and Trevor Bell is also in the running. He threw the ball very well the other day. So those four guys, one of them is going to be there. We're very confident that that fifth starter is going to give us a chance to win anytime they take the ball.
Thank you, Mike. Back to you guys.
We appreciate Mike Socia stopping by. We go to inning number 4, and the Angels on top 1-0.
Odor stop you. Gillette Odor Shield turns odor
We go to the fourth in Scottsdale. Angels lead it 1-0, and Pujols will start things off. Albert grounded to short his first time against Tim Lincecum. And a curveball drops in for a strike. Playing the pull on the infield. Well, you know that he's going to help this lineup a lot. You know, the Giants struggled to score last year, but the Angels did at times too.
Well, there's no doubt about that. And there's a lot of ways that Albert Pujols is going to help this lineup. They talk about how he's taken the young Ibar underneath his wing. They hit in the same group every day. A lot like what he did with Yadier Molina. Yadier got to the big leagues because of his glove, but all of a sudden that offense started catching up. You look for Ibar to break out. And then the protection behind him. He's always going to be on base. He always has been.
Now, Pujols delivered one of the most amazing postseason performances you will ever see. Last year, World Series Game 3, 3 home runs. Dan Schulman with the call.
A high fastball hit a mile to left field. Way back into the bleachers and gone. Pitch to Pujols, a swing and a fly ball, high and deep, left center field. Hamilton back, it's gone. And the pitch and a swing and a fly ball, deep left field. He did it! Albert Pujols just hit his third home run of the game.
I love the fact that it's a World Series and they were freezing him out. Just the third player and fourth time that had happened. 3 homers in a World Series game.
Look, and you are not Albert Pujols without having tremendous focus, tremendous professionalism, both of which he's had. But you get the sense that there's a little bit of a rejuvenation. He's come in tremendous shape, and I expect him to have one of his best years. And obviously the greatness of his career, that's saying something. I think he is revived, excited to really be a part of this Angel team.
Posey looking for the pop-up as he got rid of the mask.
You know, Aaron, I totally agree with you. And everything that I've heard from the Angels about Albert Pujols so far this spring has indicated that. He showed up with the pitchers and catchers. He got here early. He wanted to get to know his teammate. He wanted to know more about the organization. But he has let it be known he was approaching this spring like he did the one in 2001 when he was with the Cardinals. He wanted to have the attitude, I've got to go out and make this team. And it's just had a great impact, as Mike Socha was talking about with our Tim Kirchin, on everybody around him.
Here's Abreu now. And the 38-year-old getting a chance to play right field today. It'll be Torrey Hunter's job on a regular basis. Of course, Abreu, one of the things he brings to the table, that patience, that ability to get on base. Booney, back to Albert Pujols. Was there a guy, a veteran, when you came up that influenced you, at least in terms of hitting?
Oh, well,
close play over there.
It was our colleague, Barry Larkin. Definitely, me as a third baseman, him as a shortstop. You see, Albert leading. Don't sleep on Albert there in a very close play at first. Albert's a guy who, despite not having a lot of speed, not being the most athletic guy, is great at running the bases, is great at sensing when you're not paying attention, and he'll swipe a bag if you don't keep an eye on him. And Tim Lincecum made a good move and almost got him.
Right. Pujols on the go. Posey got him in second. Good hands by Brandon Crawford.
John, you make a great point there. Because the way Crawford caught this throw gave him an opportunity to get the tag down in time. You know it's going to be a short hop. You read that. But watch how he goes up high with the glove, and then he comes down. Instead of catching the ball and going up, he went right up to where that ball was at its peak, and he brought it down immediately. Albert Pujols just barely being thrown out on that throw from Buster Posey.
And it's another thing that we'll focus on with Buster Posey. Quick release, I know that the short hop isn't what he desires, but footwork to throw the ball is one of the things you look at him coming back from that gruesome injury.
And guys, more run prevention. Crawford's going to be their everyday shortstop. You just think about that play. If that ball gets by him, Pujols is at third base with just one out, and all of a sudden now you're looking at probably a 2-0 lead.
Rick,
run prevention.
Rick, you described that play really well. You're right. That was a great play by Brandon Crawford, and they come to expect that from him. That's borderline in between hop, and for him to have this hand strength to just set it right back down is a great play. They know Brandon Crawford's going to catch the ball at an elite level. Does he hit enough to allow him to be a very good shortstop in this league? That's what they're waiting to find out.
And Bobby Abreu will take his base, and again, a thing he does so well. For Bruce Bochy, he'll watch his young shortstop out there every day. Now, last year they were last in the National League in terms of OPS out of the shortstop, and yes, they need more offense, but the key again is going to be how steady is he out there. That's what they need from him first and foremost. Folks enjoying themselves here in Scottsdale as they'll watch Mark Trumbo at the plate. Flied out his first time.
This guy is fun to watch take batting practice. He can absolutely crush a baseball.
Lincecum the 1-0.
Hold up.
Quite a rookie year for Mark Trumbo last year. He was their leader in both homers and RBIs and made quite an impact in terms of franchise history. Only Tim Salmon with more as a first-year guy.
And did it in not even 500 at-bats, but that is the big reason they're trying to get him on the field, if at all possible, because if he can show that he can play third base adequately enough, it just lengthens this Angel lineup and makes them very lethal from a power standpoint.
Right side, Burris collects and throws out Trumbo. Midway here in inning number 4, 1-0 Angels. ESPN Fantasy Baseball back on ESPN.com. You can access real-time scoring, get expert advice, manage your team, do it all from your mobile device. It's ESPN Fantasy Baseball, and it's free. ESPN.com/fantasy baseball. All right, so we talked fantasy baseball pitching-wise. I mean, look, this all, whether you play fantasy baseball or not, it lines up and includes a lot of pitchers on both these teams because both these teams will pitch. But you have, of course, Jared Weaver at 6, Lincecum at 7, Dan Herron, Matt Cain, Wilson, Bumgarner, a lot of pitchers from these two teams on that list.
I tell you what, for me, the Angels have 4 guys. I mean, their number 4 pitcher could be the Cy Young Award winner this year. Now, no disrespect to Mr. Verlander.
Sure.
And I did pick Justin to win it again, but they have that kind of ability.
Thinking about playing fantasy baseball for the first time this year.
You know, I've never played.
I'm kicking around, getting in. A couple of people have asked me to get in their leagues, and I'm kicking it around. I figure could be fun.
What would the team name be?
Boondog Los Angeles.
You're better than that. There's something
you know,
that you come up with is better than
Is it legal for us to play with some of the inside information that we get?
I mean, why do you have to drive the happy bus off the cliff? I mean, can't we just have some fun with it?
You got to take advantage, man. Take advantage.
Boone, you're going to come up with a better nickname for your team.
Well, I can't say my real nickname on the air.
Okay.
So you're going to do this? You're serious about it?
Kicking it around.
Gregor Blanco, an extended at bat, filled up on the right fielder. And to the right side, sliding stop Kendrick. Blanco retired. And how about Brad Mills, who was in a fight for that 5th spot in the Angels rotation? And Mills has now fired 12 scoreless innings this spring. He's done all that he can do.
And I'm sure the part that Mike Scioscia loves about that is the fact this kid's got the ability to keep the ball out of the air. This is basically the Giants' A lineup, and he's having his way with it.
You know, we heard about that changeup, Rick, and he's had a lot of these good hitters really look bad on it. He's tied some guys up, the ability to cut the ball inside. He's been in command of this game.
I like the pace that he has, how he's just kind of set the tone along with Lincecum that, hey, you know what, I realize against you it's going to be a pitcher's duel. Look at the ground balls there, how he's taking advantage of that infield.
I don't know how you quantify it, and you guys like to tease me. I'm a little bit of a numbers dork, but I will say, eyeballing it, I feel like there are very few guys who work slowly who are good.
As a defender, I always felt like when a guy works slow, and it shouldn't be this way, but it affected you on defense. It absolutely does, because you get a little bit stale out there on a certain pitch, and one time a game it could affect a play. And the guys that work fast don't seem to run into that.
I think the better way to verbalize it would be most of the guys who are really good work quickly. At least it seems that way. You agree with that?
I do, and I'm pretty excited about our opening day drawing when I understand we might have the best in all of baseball with Mark Burley on the mound.
Yeah, he is as fast as it gets. Buster Posey aboard, so we'll get a chance to watch Buster run. Coming up, we'll check in with our injury expert, Stefania Bell, and she'll give us some updates on both Buster Posey and Kendrys Morales. Change up to Kung Fu Panda.
Well, he had Panda out in front of a couple of those change-ups in his first at-bat before getting him to pop up. And right on cue, Mills starts him out with a change-up, wondering if trying to set up and open up the inside part of that plate.
I'll tell you what, though, the thing, guys, that I don't like, I noticed that the middle infielders have all shortened up. They talk about getting into, you know, a play where you can turn the double play. To me, it's more important to get the out. You know, by shortening up like that, if all of a sudden there's a ball hit just one step that you don't get to, those 2 steps that you came in to turn the double play is where you lost that step. Sandoval does not run well. You can turn the double play from normal depth. I see that so many times, and I think it's just a big, big mistake that teams make. Our ideal right now is not to get the double play. We want to get this one out. And by shortening up like that, you're not helping your pitcher do that.
Just foul at third for Sandoval. Yeah, you want to nail down the one out is your point. At least the one out.
Just give me that one out. Now, if you've got first and third and you've got to get that thing turned over late in the ball game, yeah, maybe that's the time you do that. But for me, and Mike Scioscia, I hate to say somebody's the best, but there's not a better manager in baseball than either one of these guys here this afternoon. Mike Scioscia, Bruce Bochy, you got rings to prove it.
Roller to the hole. And a nice throw there as Ibar, hopping up, was able to get the lead man. Guys who have won a World Series who are active right now, two of them in the ballpark. Most recently, Bruce Bochy, and you mentioned Mike Scioscia.
I just think, too, about how many times both of these managers have taken their teams to the playoffs. The run that the Giants had, unbelievable. How they were able to come back and overtake the Padres in game 162, and then Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves. They were able to go to Philly and slay Goliath, the Philadelphia Phillies that year, and of course beating the Rangers.
These two guys, you know, you will never be outgunned from a managerial standpoint, night in and night out. I'll tell you, let's get back to Mills. Rick, he continues to impress me. He was having his way with Sandoval with the changeup. He left one up where Sandoval had a good cut on it and then showed the ability to go inside, tied him up, got the weak ground ball for the force out. This guy pitches with a lot of poise, with a lot of purpose, and again, definitely stating his case to be a part of this team, or to be a part of this team at some point.
Well, and even though Sandoval hit the ball hard, it was hit on the ground. So there's some late life down in that strike zone for the kid. See, that's where when Aubrey Huff is swinging the bat well, that 2-0 fastball right down the middle, that's where in the past he's been able to do some damage with it, but not able to do really anything offensively last year.
So he and Pat Burrell were the leaders in the clubhouse for that 2010 team, the veteran position players, and they kept it light and loose, former teammates at the University of Miami.
They had a lot of big hits. Maybe not a lot of hits, but they had big hits when they needed them.
Well, I think after the World Series, a lot of the Giants players maybe came in not the best of shape. This offseason, Aubrey rededicated himself to getting his body, especially as he gets up there in age, into better shape. They feel like he came into camp physically ready to go.
He takes the walk there. And two aboard with two down, the inning extended. And Brandon Belt will come up to him. Aubrey Huff starting today in left field. He is their everyday first baseman, however, and with Brandon Belt coming up to the plate, what are your thoughts? Brandon Belt make this team?
I don't think so. I think they're going to send him back to AAA just to get the everyday at bats. But I think there's also, Rick, going to be a short leash with Aubrey Huff. If Aubrey gets off to a slow start like he did last season, I think Brandon Belt is going to get his opportunity and an extended opportunity. But I'm not sure they want to keep him where they're playing him a couple days a week as we look at GM Brian Sabian. But it is one of those decisions that the Giants have to make.
And I think a 3-run homer right here might even change that decision right now. That coin probably still in the air. I agree with you. That's the way they're leaning.
This one driven center field. Borges back. And looking up into the sun. Pulls it down.
There's that blue area that we were talking about on range.
Yeah, showing off the heat map range. Peter Borges. Giants lead 2. Back here as we go to the 5th, and the Angels leading it 1-0. Only run of Bobby Wilson RBI double in the 3rd. Tim Lincecum back to work. Deals high ball 1 to Peter Borges, who walked to lead off the 3rd and scored on that Wilson double. Guys, this guy continues to learn. I think at some point down the line maybe could end up hitting lead off. He's improved his on-base skills, and second half last year he hit 9 homers, 9 of his 12.
You know, Mike Scioscia would love to have that speed up at the top of the order. He's in pretty good shape right now, though, with the 1, 2, 3 guys that he's got there for him.
And speaking of speed, in Peter Borges and outstanding prospect Mike Trout, who will probably start the year in the minor leagues.
Air ball down the line, and we're getting a chance to watch him run.
But in Borges and Trout, they have 2 of the fastest men in baseball and 2 guys that they think are going to be pillars on this team for a long time to come. It's a little fastball right down the middle, and Borges hooks it down the line, and we get a look at him busting it right out of the gate, just in case that left fielder is able to cut it off, but you can forget about it.
You know, he's a guy that hit over 290 in his career at the minor league level, and then last year hit over 270 with all of those infield bunts hits, and of course 11 triples. That normally turns into a run.
You saw 17 bunt hits last year for Peter Borges. All right, so here's his stat for you guys. He tried to bunt for a hit 29 times last year, where he put it in play, and he was successful 17 times. So, I mean, that's a .586 average. When he put an attempt for a bunt hit in play, he was successful 17 out of 29 times. That's a guy who can handle it pretty good there.
Well, and just the fact that you're a guy that does that, you tried to do it, you know you're going to bring those corner infielders in, and there's a lot of ground balls that will get past those guys because of it.
And it's that kind of baseball that's been a staple under Mike Scioscia and the Angels. They have always had a reputation of doing little things, kind of playing a National League quote-unquote style of baseball. They run the bases extremely aggressively. They like to use the hit and run, the bunt. And Borges, a guy that I would call a Mike Scioscia type player.
I remember back in 2002 when, John, as you said, they won the World Series. Mike Scioscia's team led all of baseball in productive outs.
Lincecum ahead here, 0-2. Taking lots of time and eyeing up Borges. The one thing we know, this Angels lineup will be better this year because of Albert Pujols, but it'll also get some help from the return of Kendrys Morales. Missed him all of last year. And that freak injury in 2010, I mean,
after a walk-off home run.
Yeah, celebrating at the plate.
You're talking about a guy, when healthy, was turning into an MVP candidate.
And I think, guys, a real X factor for this team. You're talking about a switch hitter with the ability, when right, to hit behind Albert Pujols in this lineup. He is, to me, the great equalizer and enables them to be right on par, if not better, than even the Texas Rangers.
2-2 now. Lincecum has really slowed the pace down with Borges out there at second. And Wilson with a good rip at it. Here's a look at that injury. Really odd. That walk-off homer, and it came against Brandon League and Seattle. The celebration at home plate, and he goes down in a heap and had to be helped off the field.
He got carted off the field, didn't he? Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they knew right away.
More on Kendrys Morales. Let's go down to Tim Kirkjian.
Yeah, as you know, this comeback back is crucial for the Angels for this reason. If he can come back and hit in the middle of the order and hit 25 home runs, that allows, of course, them to move Mark Trumbo to third base. If Morales can't make it, then Trumbo goes back to the DH, and they lose a big-time hitter in their lineup. When I talked to Mike Socha about a week ago, I looked at the lineup and I said, this looks like the lineup without Kendrys Morales. And he looks at me and goes, oh, he'll be in the everyday lineup when the season begins. That's how confident they are that he will be back. But it's going to, he's not going to be a runner when he comes back. But I've seen him take batting practice 3 different times this spring, and he is crushing it.
Well, Morales, his last full season in 2009, was a monster for the Angels. Ripped to left field. Wilson continues to have good at-bats. Borges blazing around third. He'll score. And both Angel runs coming with Wilson knocking in Borges. It's 2-0.
Well, and I think Borges gets a lot of the credit. We saw Timmy Lincecum paying a lot of attention to him at second base, even with no outs, knowing the Angels, they don't care if they make the first or third out at third base. They're going to force the envelope. Maybe it led to that pitch getting a little bit elevated. Bobby Wilson able to take advantage and pick up another RBI.
Well, we did not see Brad Mills swing the bat his first time.
I'm a bit surprised that Mike Socha wouldn't just try letting him bunt in a situation like this, but watching him take that first pitch, it looked like the take was on again.
You know what that tells you is the Angels pitchers aren't doing a lot of bunting, a lot of that type of thing in spring training. So he's not going to risk a finger in this spot. Maybe Mills not bunting correctly. Just go up there, take your pitches, and get back on the bump, son.
And again, Lincecum having trouble throwing strikes to the pitcher. And now Dave Righetti will go out and talk. Remember, the same thing happened last time. Mills took him to the limit, 3-2, and Lincecum struck him out looking on a borderline calls. You look at Tim Lincecum's line, just 1 strikeout. Dave Righetti out there, and Rags, you think about Dave Righetti and his career with the Yankees, a starter, a closer. He's turned into one of the best pitching coaches in baseball.
Well, he certainly has. I mean, a lot of these guys, Lincecum, Kane, Bumgarner, they were drafted by this organization. They were developed under Dave Righetti and the plan that he put together, and now they're succeeding because of those 3 guys. And like you say, he's been in charge from the very beginning of their careers.
Trying to find the strike zone here is Tim Lincecum.
You just play catch. I mean, that's what Dave Righetti did. He went out there and he said, hold on a second here. He's not going to swing the bat. Just play catch. You and Buster, like you're the only 2 out there in the stadium today.
Maybe that's what you need to do against Lincecum. Go up there and leave your bat behind and mess with him a little bit. Make him work.
He'll now filled up again. And again, he got him looking.
I really think there should be a stat, guys, for the pitching coaches when they go to the mound. What happens to that hitter? And that key at bat, how many times can you go out there and help your guy turn it around? Dave Righetti getting on the phone right now. He had said that Lincecum could throw up to 90 pitches today if he had an easy time doing that. This has been a little bit of a struggle this inning.
Runner on the go. Ibar gets a piece.
Well, there you see Bobby Wilson, the catcher, not a good runner, but the Angels, who love to get the game in motion, hit and run the first pitch with Ibar, but he fouls it off. As Lincecum now at 72 pitches on the afternoon.
Well, and with his spot coming up third in the bottom of this frame, not that that matters in spring training, but if he can get through this inning, it'll probably be it.
Runner goes. Posey dead on strike at second. That was gorgeous. Second guy he's thrown out today, 2 away.
Mike Socha putting on the hit and run on back-to-back pitches in hopes that his hitter can put the ball in play. When that does not happen, Buster Posey places the ball perfectly at second base.
And look, it's a blown-up hit and run, and it's Bobby Wilson, the catcher, running. But if you're a Giant fan, it's very encouraging to see Buster coming out of the chute like that, making accurate throws, throwing guys out. It's a big deal not only for him and his confidence, but I think Bruce Bochy and the coaching staff seeing that, hey, our guy, he's coming back, and he's going to be fine.
Right side and through for a base hit. So Ibar with a 2-out single, and the inning extended for Howie Kendrick. Yeah, Buster Posey, you know, the challenge is, Mooney, you mentioned stopping and starting with running, just kind of sitting on that ankle, but then also with throwing, the throwing motion, you're replacing the feet basically when you get up out of the crouch to fire, and that puts some pressure on the ankle.
Yeah, and it's not even so much a pain thing necessarily, but over time, you know, building it up and maybe fatigue setting in, so that ultimately messing with your footwork, which is so important.
Runner goes, Posey there, and that one squibs away from the second baseman Burris. So that one just a little late, a little short, and a successful steal for Ibar.
You're not going to slow Mike Scioscia down. I don't care how many guys you throw out. He is going to continue to try to apply the pressure. And when he's got a 2-0 lead right now, he's going to continue to try to get people into scoring position for the heart of the order.
Third base, Sandoval. And he handles the chance. Well, coming up, we'll talk injuries with our injury expert. Stefania Bell will join us. Talk Buster Posey, Kendrys Morales as well. Back in Scottsdale as we go to the home half of the fifth. The Angels leading it 2-0. The Angels last year without Kendrys Morales suffered that gruesome injury in 2010, but they have him back now, and he's been playing in spring training games. And we go down to our injury expert, Stefania Bell. And Stefania, what have you seen so far from Kendrys Morales? How has he looked? How's he running?
Well, the fact that he's running at all is really the most important thing. Remember, after that freak injury, you talked about it earlier in 2010, last year the issue was he could never progress to running the bases, nor could he run at full speed. So it required a second surgery to clean up the ankle. And now this year, running for the first time, and we saw that the other night he was able to round the bases from first to third. That was a huge step forward for him. And he's also hitting the ball from the right side. That's important because he has to step into that left ankle, puts a lot of load on it and torsion when he swings the bat. So far, they're very encouraged. It looks like he's on track to start the season.
Right there, Burris is retired. And there's one away. Now, Buster Posey, in contrast, the comeback has gone very well for him, and right now he feels good, doesn't he?
You know, I spoke with him this morning, and he said he's very pleased that he's had no setbacks, and he quickly reached over and knocked on the wood of his locker to make sure it stayed that way. And I heard you guys talking about all the challenges for a catcher with that ankle injury, not only staying in the crouch, but popping up out of the crouch, running the bases, hitting the ball. Again, he's got the left ankle, so it's his lead leg. But turning the base is still a little tricky for him. He said he still has a stutter step that he takes, a hesitation. Not quite comfortable with that, but he expects it to get there. But defensively, had a play at the plate the other night, and he said, just like any other play at the plate, it was fine for him. And today is a big day, because today is the first day he's playing in back-to-back games, and that, he said, he's very eager to test and see how the ankle feels tomorrow.
Yeah, get a look right there as Mitch Moreland came across on an Elvis Andrus single to center field. Posey able to handle that one. That was on Friday night. Mentally, he seems like he's doing okay, Stefania.
He does. You know, he said initially that was the hard part, getting back out there. But once he started working with the medical staff, and he really credits them for making this a smooth process and helping him get his range of motion back quickly. And he said all the work in spring training, all the practice, all the drills made it so that when it happened, when that play at the plate came during a game, he wasn't even thinking about it.
Buster Posey's looked pretty good today. Justin Christian up here hitting for Tim Lincecum. And how about Brad Mills? He has looked very, very sharp. Christian hitting with 2 outs and the base is cleared. And lifts that one to left field. And Wells is there. Stefania, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Angels lead it 2-0. Welcome back to ESPN's telecast of MLB Spring Training, presented by Gillette. Scottsdale Stadium here in Arizona, the spring training home of the San Francisco Giants. And as we go to the 6th, it's the Angels leading the Giants 2-0. Buster Posey catching back-to-back games for the first time this spring. Fans taking this one in, and Giants expected to be in contention in that National League West. Tim Lincecum done for the day as he goes 5 innings and gives up a couple of runs. And the new pitcher is the right-hander Danny Otero.
And you know what, guys? Don't let that number 87 fool you, because he is in the mix, as Bruce Bochy said before the game.
Fair ball as Pujols hammers that one. And Albert will cruise into second. It's a leadoff double. So you don't buy into the old Ricky Henderson theory that if your numbers add up to over 10, you're not making the team?
You're not looking at a wide receiver here. This guy's got a chance to be a part of that Giant bullpen, which has historically been really, really good. Speaking of really, really good, that's what we just saw at home plate.
That was just a ground ball down the line, but did you notice how loud it was? It was just, the great one seemed to just have a different sound off that bat.
Vernon Wells here coming off a really tough season. Hit just 218, the on base 248. He had a good line. He said, "I'm looking for a full do-over." In the air. And Belt foul ground near the stands, puts it away. Nice play. Pujols thinking about tagging.
Well, that's a great look at Albert Pujols. Look, there's a premium right there with the first out being recorded by Belt. You want to get to third base if possible. Pujols tagged as if he was going and ran about 5, 6, 7 steps. If that throw at all was offline, he is in position to get to third base. The throw is online. Now he can retreat back to second. But that is another one of the things that Albert Pujols brings to the table and why he fits in so well with Mike Scioscia's style of managing and playing.
And I really think you're exactly right, Aaron. I really think, too, he wanted to see if Belt was going to have trouble with that wall. If he got tangled up there, then he was going to go.
You guys mentioned earlier that it's not necessarily speed-based, that there's an instinct, maybe even a gift to being a good base runner, and clearly Albert Pujols has it.
And you know what, John? There's a route to run as well. There's guys that just take bad angles as far as making those turns are concerned that just make it a longer trip for you.
Up the middle, Burris stares at Pujols, and he'll throw to first. And that's the second out. Fans, MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. You can watch over 100 live out-of-market games per week online and on your favorite devices. Visit MLB.TV for details.
I'll tell you, I played a number of years in Cincinnati in the National League Central against Albert. And as great a hitter as he was, there were so many times, and look, he is not a fast, he's a slow runner. But there are so many games that he impacted with his ability to run the bases, his understanding of when to take an extra base. There's just so many intangibles that he brings to the game every night that make him Albert Pujols.
Trumbo 0 for 2. He's flied out and he's grounded out. I'll give you a guy that I think about who grew up playing hockey, who I think is one of the better base runners we've come across. Now, certainly faster than Albert Pujols. Remember Larry Walker, how well Larry Walker ran the bases? As a guy that didn't play a ton of baseball growing up. Just instinct, at least so it seemed.
Yep, Jeff Bagwell comes to mind.
Scott Rowland. Yep. Another one of those guys. You know, a guy who I love to watch run the bases, didn't get a lot of credit for it. Again, one of those guys that wasn't fast. But I love how hard Mike Piazza ran the bases. He gave you everything he had. It's fun to see when those great players.
Trumbo kind of one-hands that one center field. Pagan, and able to put it away. So the Pujols leadoff double doesn't go anywhere. We're midway in the 6th. And the Angels leading this one 2-0. San Francisco Giants. Buster Posey trying to come back from that nasty injury. Different look in the outfield. Pagan in center, Melky Cabrera in left. And then, besides Posey, the injuries to Freddie Sanchez and Brian Wilson will be key to the success here in 2012 for San Francisco. The Giants last year finished behind the Arizona Diamondbacks by 8 games, 86 and 76. And again, they'll have one of the top pitching staffs in all of baseball. We go down to that Giants first base dugout. We're joined by the skipper of the San Francisco Giants, Bruce Bochy. Boch, what's happening?
It's all good. Well, I can't say that. We're getting one hit right now, but it's been a good spring. Boys are scuffling today. Really, the last 3-4 days we've been in a little rut here, but we're getting our guys healthy, and guys are getting ready.
What are the decisions down the stretch that you still have to make and that you're focusing on?
Well, I think you have to look at the outfield on which way we're going to go. We're hoping we have Pagan, Cabrera, and Shearholtz. Blanco's really trying to make a strong statement here this spring, so that's going to be a tough call. Freddie Sanchez isn't quite ready, so we have to decide where we're going at second base between Burrs, Fontenot, and Terrio. And then our backup catching situation, we haven't decided that. So these are going to be tough calls, and it's going to go down to probably the last couple days before we make them.
Hey, Boch, Tim Lincecum out there, not at his best today, but what a special treat it's got to be for you to watch him out there every 5th day.
Well, it is. I mean, he's a special talent. He got out of sync at times today. Didn't quite have his good fastball command, especially in that last inning. We were thinking about sending him out in the 6th, but watching him get out of sync there, we shut him down. But hey, the guy's unique. He's with his delivery, what great stuff he has, and he had pretty good secondary stuff going today. He just didn't have his good fastball command.
Boch, Buster Posey back in there, back-to-back days behind the plate. We've seen him throw a couple guys out today. What are you seeing from him? Where is he in the process?
Yeah, he's doing great. I shouldn't say surprised, but it's been a little bit of a surprise how well he is doing. He's had no hiccups as far as needing time off or having any issues with the ankle. He's been coming out of these games feeling great. This first time he's gone back to back. It's the first time he's caught Timmy, and he's really doing very well. So he's full go right now.
Hey, Boch, watching this offense today, were you working with them earlier in batting practice?
It looks like that. I just made a call last inning. I just told Bam Bam we're not hitting tomorrow. At 15 minutes, we all threw BP today, didn't pay off. So I'm going to give the coaches a break and just do some defensive work, see if we can freshen them up.
Boch, where are you leaning right now with the top of your order come opening day? Is it still in flux?
A little bit. We have 9-10 days here. Pagan is a choice to lead off. This kid Blanco, he's had a great spring. He's also an option. Cabrera, he can hit first, second, or third, but we'd like to have two somewhat fast guys at the top of the order to be our table setters. See if we can get them on base and just make it a little easier to create runs to see if we can get this offense being a little bit more consistent. It's not working today, though.
Hey, Boch, congratulations are in order with the retirement of Tony La Russa. 18 consecutive years now as a major league manager. That's the longest in all of baseball. How have things changed for you as far as spring training is concerned?
Well, I probably have delegated more. I tried to get my coaches involved, and that's their specialty. And I know the first 2-3 years I felt like I had to do everything. So I've got great coaches here. They're so qualified, and let them do their thing. As far as players, they're still great as far as the work ethic and attitude. They're getting bigger, faster, stronger. Sometimes you hear the old school player or whatever, but these players today, they're great to work with, and they do all you ask. So that really hasn't changed. We play more games, and as you can see, except when we played, we had 500 fans. I was in Yuma. That was a good day, but we're sold out in all these games. So it's really a fun time here in spring training.
Boch, we were talking before the game and obviously winning the World Series, the championship back in 2010. Talk about that parade and how exciting that was for you and your players.
Well, you always talk about winning the series and getting that ring, but that's right up there as far as getting a ring for me was the parade. And we knew it would be big, but we didn't know it would be that big. We had over 1 million people there, they said, and you know, to go down the streets and have the confetti, it's a moment I never experienced, and just had a tremendous time. And what we did for that city, it's been a long wait for them. First time in San Francisco, and to get the letters, have people come up to you and say how thankful they were, how long they've been waiting, and they showed their appreciation in that parade. Get ball, get.
Blanco puts a charge into that one, and it hops up onto the berm. And Blanco's got himself an automatic double. He can really run.
Well, you talk about, you know, you get a bad break when it bounces out. The guy could get to third. He might have scored on that if it bounced up high. That's how fast he's getting on the bases.
Bruce, can you give us an update on Freddie Sanchez?
Freddie had a cortisone shot a couple days ago, so we have stopped his workouts for 3 days now. And we're doing this to see if we can get him over the hump as far as throwing. He's not able to make that pivot yet. Tomorrow he'll resume throwing a little bit and hopefully take infield, and then we'll put him in some minor league games. He will not be ready for the season. We've already decided that. So hopefully, we're still hopeful that he'll be ready at some point in April and get him back out there. But it has not gone as well as we had hoped with the throwing part. But meanwhile, he's getting at bats in the minor league, so at least he's seeing some pitches.
Ryan Vogelsong was so good for you last year. Debuted yesterday. What'd you see out of him?
Oh, he threw great. He came out of it very well. Good stuff. Used all his pitches. I thought he had good command. He could have kept going. You know, we're being a little cautious. He did a pretty good job on that back. Looks like he's on his way, and he'll pitch in the on the minor league side his next start. And we don't need a starter until the 15th, so we can skip one guy to start the season, which gives us a little bit of a break and get him ready for that start on the 15th.
Bruce, thanks a lot for stopping by.
Hey, guys, thanks. Good talking with you. All right, we'll see y'all.
Bruce Bochy and the San Francisco Giants. As spring training winds down, so Freddie Sanchez will not be ready for the start of the year, as he said, hopes for sometime in April. Blanco on the go, and he is a dead duck, but he beats the tag. The throw beat him by a bit, but Trumbo not able to put it on the fleet-footed Gregor Blanco.
Well, yeah, this is one of those cases where the ball definitely beat him. Let's see what happens. Wilson, a good pitch to handle. And, you know, I think Trumbo's momentum just carried himself a little forward, a little away from him, enabled Blanco to slide in. And I think it's a good call. The reason why, sometimes you can make the ghost tag, but if your momentum takes you forward, and that's something in playing third base you got to learn. You got to learn how to settle in at third base and be able to drop that tag. Trumbo's momentum carried him towards home plate, and that's why Blanco was able to get to the bag safely.
That one driven well center field. Borges on the move, racing, can't get there, and it bounces over the wall. An automatic double knocks in a run. The Giants on the board. Sandoval smoked that one, and Borges really tested.
Well, Mills has really had his way with Sandoval the first couple of times up. Here, a little changeup that he gets up and elevated, and then Pablo gets it up in that Scottsdale air and drives it deep to center and just out of the reach of Peter Borges. Picks himself up another RBI on the spring.
Everything's been on the ground today for Brad Mills, so back-to-back balls have been elevated off the Giants' bats. Aubrey Huff takes outside ball one.
You saw that start to happen with the Giants starting pitcher today, Tim Lincecum, as he went out there for his last inning of work. And that's really what spring training is all about. And Aaron, I know particularly this time of year, as a hitter, you're ready to go. It's just putting the finishing touches on that starting rotation.
Thank you very much.
Fair ball down the right field line. Sandoval around third. He's in. And Huff's got an RBI double. 2-2.
I think those Giant hitters might have heard the manager talking about no batting practice tomorrow.
Well, another pitch from Mills here that's elevated in the middle of the plate, and Mills obviously not a guy that overpowers, has to live on the corners, has to keep the ball down when he is on the white part of the plate, and these last three hitters have taken advantage of some missed locations, and 3 extra base hits, and a tie ball game now to show for it.
Mills up to 81 pitches. And the southpaw Andrew Taylor getting loose out there. Fans Major League Baseball proud to support the fight against cancer. Honor someone you know who is going to bat against breast cancer. Visit honorarybatgirl.com. 2 down now as the Giants have tied it up, and it's Brandon Belt. This guy was their #1 prospect going into last year, as the Giants have delivered here in the 6th. All 3 hits are doubles. Belt today 0 for 2.
One of the areas where Brandon Belt really struggled last year was fastballs on the inside part of the plate. Tried to make an effort in covering that hole up, but sometimes when you try to cover up a weakness, take away a strength.
Wells settling under this one. The side retired, but the Giants pick up 2. And as we go to the 7th, we're all locked up. No Cactus League action here as we go to the 7th. Tied at 2. John Shelby, Aaron Boone, Rick Sutcliffe, and Tim Kirkchin with us here. Tim, you get a chance to watch games and go to camps, both Cactus League and Grapefruit League. What's the difference? What do you like better?
Well, I love Florida, but it's no comparison. Arizona is way better. Personally, I spent 17 days in Florida in 14 different hotels. And in Arizona, 18 days, one hotel. The shortest trip the longest trip in Arizona is like the shortest trip in Florida. Everything is so close here. That is the real best part about this area. Plus, in Arizona, of course, I got to travel with Sut and Aaron Boone on the bus. That was the best part.
Well, with apologies to Prince Fielder, who seems to like Florida, there's no comparison. The Cactus League is definitely where it's at. And I never got to play in the Cactus League, but that Grapefruit League, there's some long bus rides, there's some bad spots out here now, especially the way they're doing it now, where they're combining two teams for one great facility. It's getting to be a really great thing out here in Arizona.
So there's one ballpark that's being used every single day. One team's on the road, the other team's always going to be playing a game there. And for me, the big thing, and I trained in both places. I started out with the Dodgers. When you make the club in Florida, a lot of times you haven't even seen your teammates, because you got to leave at like 8 o'clock in the morning to get to the place where you're going to play the 1 o'clock game.
Oh, nice play, Crawford from his knees, and not able to get the fleet-footed Borges, but Crawford did well just to get to that one.
He might have gotten anybody else in that lineup. I mean, Borges he's as fast as anybody in the game, but what a terrific play. We have seen his range. We've seen him handle tough throws from the catcher. Defensively, this is definitely an everyday shortstop.
Yeah, he made that a pretty close play. So leadoff man aboard, and it'll be Bobby Wilson. Guillermo Mota on the hill, the new pitcher. Borges on the go. And Posey's throw too late.
That's a shame that goes against Buster Posey and the number of caught stealing and stolen base attempts. He had no chance whatsoever.
Well, this Giants team last year, second in the league in ERA, and they were second in starters ERA, second in bullpen ERA. It's a pen with a lot of good arms.
And that's a pen that had some issues this spring. Brian Wilson has missed a little bit of time, just being cautious, I should say, with him.
You know what, guys, I'm still not convinced that Brian Wilson is completely healthy. There's still some, as Bruce Bochy said before the game, there's some boxes to be checked off. He not only needs to go out there in a late inning situation, but he's going to have to go out there in back-to-back days as he would during the season.
And that's one of the things we didn't ask Boch about on air, but it is one of the things that has to happen. And Sergio Romo, who's arguably the best setup man in all of baseball, he missed the first couple of weeks with some shoulder issues. He's been back now and appears to be fine, but these are things you don't want to crop up if you're the San Francisco Giants that lean so heavily on the great pitching staff.
Alexia Marista up here as he hits for Mills and takes a strike. Booney, I got to say, I was a little cautious about working with you guys, but now that we've had some time, I've really enjoyed it. Do you guys make up words every week?
Well, we try to, and
just to
try
see
and
if you're
catch
paying
ourselves.
attention.
Yeah. Precautious is not a word. At least I caught myself.
As soon as I quit laughing, I'm going to comment on it.
As we all know, Rick is the scholar of the group.
Yeah.
Drafted, of course, on his high intellect.
Boog don't even know that story. We'll save that for the regular season.
Rick, what was your high school GPA?
3.8 something. Kind of right around where my ERA was, unfortunately.
Truth be told, Rick was a first-round draft pick by the Los Angeles Dodgers and was told it was because of his brains. I'm not kidding you. That's what he was told, that it was because of his brains he got drafted.
The scouts said what stood
out.
Not
because he's 6'7", and has a golden arm.
There were a lot of other guys that scouted out as I did, but my GPA, I was told, was higher than the other guys.
And the best part is Rick believed him.
The lesson is for the youngsters out there in high school to get it right.
Stay in school. Look out over there.
You know, I tell you what, guys, and on the serious note, with Tim Lincecum, I think about him. He was drafted out of high school. He was drafted by the Cubs in 03. He was drafted by the Indians in 05. No, he wasn't ready. Went to college, got that education, and the next thing you know, he's a #1 pick. And the college programs these days are so good that you're not going to fall that far behind if you don't sign right away.
Let me ask you this, because he went 10th overall to Tim Lincecum the year he was drafted back in 2006. And Mark Shapiro, one of the guys that with the Indians, they looked at him. Can you see the teams that were a little bit scared, why they'd be a little bit scared?
Well, probably just the way he was built and all of the velocity that he was able to create.
Amarista puts that one in play center field. Pagan drifting back. And Borges will tag. 2 down now with a man at third. Well, the Major League Baseball season opens up a week from tomorrow. And 7 o'clock, it'll be Jose Reyes and the New Look Marlins. They'll open up their new stadium and they'll take on the defending world champs Matt Holliday and the St. Louis Cardinals. Wednesday, April 7th, 7 Eastern on ESPN, ESPN 3. I'll be calling that game on ESPN Radio with Chris Singleton. So we look forward to the start of the big league season. And right now, it looks like it'll be Kyle Loesch and Josh Johnson, Chris Carpenter out with the neck issue that he's having. And Josh Johnson, what a horse.
I talked to Carp a couple of days ago, and there's a lot of concern there. They still don't know exactly what's going on with all of the nerves. Josh Johnson looked great in his last outing.
Well, and Josh seems to be, if you ask anyone, myself included, he is probably the key to the Miami Marlins. He's got to be the Cy Young contender that he's been the last couple of years before the injury if they're going to reach their potential. He's as good as there is when he's healthy, and hopefully that's the case for him this season.
Left field, long run for Brett Pill, who's into the game. And that falls foul. Are you guys buying on the Florida Marlins, Sut?
It all comes down to what Aaron said. No, I'm not. Josh Johnson, for me, needs to throw 200 innings one time in his career before I'm going to be a believer. I hope he does, because as you said, Aaron, he's one of those special talents in our game.
I'm on the bandwagon. I was initially a little concerned about what might transpire with Hanley Ramirez moving to third, how that situation's going to shake out. I think it's going to be a big success, and I think all indications, Josh being well, I think they have a chance to be great. Yes, I'm buying. I'm buying them and the Angels.
I'll tell you, the bandwagon I'm jumping on is the Washington Nationals. This kid Strasburg, his dedication, his ability.
Well, I like the moves that they made on the backside of that with Edwin Jackson. I mean, if he's your 3 or your 4, that's pretty good. And Gio Gonzalez, those two guys, that's pretty deep rotation.
Zimmerman's solid, not only on the hill, but Ryan Zimmerman at third, healthy all year, hopefully. Jason Worth can't be any worse than he was a year ago. You'd think he's going to bounce back.
And even in their fifth spot, you know, Wong goes down, but he has a chance to be good. You know, does Bryce Harper get in the mix? I think if they can solve center field, solve the top of the order, getting guys on base, no question, they have a chance to make a giant leap in the National League East.
Yeah, I think Jason Worth is going to have a big year this year.
A lot of concerns in Philly, guys. Right side of that infield.
Yeah, I saw them yesterday. They were shut down by a big-time pitcher, John Lester, 7 shutout innings, and he struck out 10. But that's a Phillies team that, look, push the injuries aside for a second. The offense has been on a kind of a slow decline the last few years. You know they'll pitch, but will they score enough for Philadelphia Phillies?
Well, it all points at one guy, and that's their leader. I mean, on and off the field, Chase Utley. And the news there is not good at all.
Yeah, we had Ruben Amaro Jr. in the booth yesterday, and they don't really seem to have an idea of when they'll get him back. Rounding to the right side, Burris handles the chance. And Mota able to get out of it after the leadoff single. Time to stretch here in Scottsdale. Welcome back to ESPN's telecast of MLB Spring Training, presented by Gillette. Here in Scottsdale as we go to the bottom of the 7th. Angels and Giants knotted up at 2. And the new pitcher will be the right-hander Kevin Jepson, who's been throwing the baseball well. First pitch out of the zone to Emmanuel Burris.
Take a look at the numbers from a year ago, up and down between the big leagues and AAA. A couple of years ago, this was a key part of that Angels bullpen. Mike Scioscia saying before the game today that he looks to be back in that role.
You see, he's got a big arm. It's 95 miles an hour, and I think they really feel like he is going to figure into that setup mix. Whether it's 7th, 8th inning, they feel like he's on that path and throwing the ball now with that confidence he had back in 2010. And they need guys to step up in those roles if they're going to be as good as they think they can be.
You know, Aaron, one of the things that we've been doing with baseball tonight, you have what you like, what your concern was, and your X factor. Obviously, you're going to like the starting rotation for Mike Scioscia's team. Your X factor's got to be Morales. Is he healthy or not? No one really knows right now. But my concern would be that bullpen.
1-2 to Burris. Hey, Tim Kirkjian, as far as this Angels bullpen a season ago, it was very good. How concerned should they be about the pen right now?
Well, there's a little bit of an issue getting the ball to Jordan Walden, their closer, and he had some troubles last year, but I talked to him this spring. He told me he lost 18 pounds, and when I asked Mike Scioscia, how's he throwing this spring, he said, we got him at 100 on the gun the other day. So the thought by Walden was, let's lose some weight here, maybe I'll throw even harder, and as long as he's okay at the end of the game, it looks like the only issue will be, do they have enough to get the ball to him? But given how good their starting pitching is, I'm not sure that bridge is going to be as important to the Angels as it will be to some other teams.
Jordan Walden losing 18 pounds. I guess I probably should have been following him around this spring. 2-2 to Burris.
Well, now Jordan Walden last year, as Tim mentioned, 10 blown saves, which was up there with some of the league leaders. But by all accounts, it was a very solid rookie campaign. I mean, he showed that he has all the intangibles, all the things you need to be an elite closer. And I think they feel good about him at that back end, taking that next step and really eliminating some of those hiccups that you're going to have throughout the course of a season, but eliminating some of them, and he can join that elite class.
The middle there.
And I think Tim Kirchin made a great point about that starting rotation. They're big four. Those guys are going to want to pitch that seventh inning. You're not going to need three guys deep down there in that bullpen to get a win.
Fellas, let's go big picture, at least as far as the National League West. Booney, who's the favorite in your mind in the NL West?
Well,
or the AL West, I beg your pardon.
The AL West. Well, I think you got to say the favorite or the team that's been to the World Series back-to-back years. That being said, I like the Angels. I think the Angels are the best team in the American League right now, and I think Walden's going to answer those questions. I think Trumbo will do an adequate enough job, and you got Callaspo, who's outstanding over there. Speak of the devil, there it is. Jordan Walden showing off some reactions over there. Made a nice play early on a slow roller, but
well, the AL West, the Angels spending all that money. Pujols and Wilson. Yu Darvish, another big free agent add in the division. How will the Mariners score more runs? They have Jesus Montero now, and right now, at least for the A's, health is an issue. They need to get Dallas Braden and company back. I think they're saying mid-April for their left-hander. Rick Sutcliffe, who you got in the West?
I've got the team that won the American League the last couple of years, the Texas Rangers. Timmy Kirchin and I were just there yesterday doing our Baseball Tonight segment. The toughest thing I had to do was finding a concern. Joe Nathan is healthy. 18 months post Tommy John surgery. There's not a question at all about him. There's depth in that bullpen. Offense 1 to 9, as good as there is in the game. And, Yu Darvish, we saw him in the 09 World Baseball Classic. This kid has a chance to be elite. Neftali Feliz says he's fine. Talked to him yesterday. Hollins, a young Andy Pettit to me. They got a chance to be really good.
Cantu fighting the sun and puts it away. And a 1-2-3 go the Giants. We're tied at 2 into 7. ESPN Spring Training is presented by Gillette. Great things start with Gillette. How's that for a look right there? 9-2 as we go to the 8th. John Shelby, Aaron Boone, Rick Sutcliffe, Tim Kirkchin at Scottsdale Stadium on a beautiful afternoon. Tim Lincecum started, went 5, gave up 2 runs. And now Steve Edofsson will take over on the hill.
26-year-old, 16th round draft pick back in 2007. Had Tommy John surgery earlier in his career. Good sinking fastball. 13 games last year at the big league level for these Giants.
And Hector Sanchez, so a brand new battery as Buster Posey is done for the day.
John, I'm anxious to see this young catcher behind the plate. His manager, a former catcher in the big leagues, Bruce Bochy, was raving about this kid before the game.
Definitely been one of the buzzes with camp. Gregor Blanco pushing his way into the outfield mix, and this guy who they think, they already know he's going to swing the bat, but I think they're surprised at how far along he is as a catcher. And could be a long-term answer, and it could be a situation where you see Posey go to first base long-term because of guys like Hector Sanchez. The ceiling is that high for this kid behind the plate, likely to start the season in AAA.
Taylor Lindsay with a count 3-1. He'll start things off. And again, a 2-2 game here in the top half of inning number 8. Belt handles the chance. He'll do it himself. Aaron Boone, let's talk about Buster Posey, and this is how he hurt himself. Look at the positioning.
Well, you see him go after it with 2 hands, and when you have 2 hands on the ball and you go to turn, you really lock yourself and can't protect yourself. This is this spring, the other night. The one-handed play, I think, is so critical for the catcher. It allows you to free up your legs and enables you to protect yourself if you get in a bad situation, Rick. And I think that little adjustment he's made by using the one hand will go a long way in preserving his long-term health and his long-term career.
And I tell you what, watching his setup there, he was probably a good 1.5 feet away from home plate than where he was positioned when he got hurt.
Now that play caused a stir, the collision with Scott Cousins. The Giants initially very upset. Brian Sabian making some comments, and eventually everything got ironed out. But it was a play that really caused a lot of tension, at least initially, as Belt can't handle that play.
I think that was a mistake on the part of Belt for going after that ball. It's going to be a real tough play for your pitcher. It's going to be a tough throw for you if you come up with the baseball. The ball was hit so soft, if you stay at home, it's an easy 4-3 ground ball out.
Belt charged with the error.
And one of the reasons, Rick, I agree with you, that range is very overrated sometimes at first base. One of the toughest things a first baseman can do is understanding where that second baseman is and if he can make the play. And I think the really good first basemen are great at knowing when to go after the ball and when and getting to the bag and letting that second baseman make the play.
Now, fellas, Pujols is pretty aggressive over there going towards the hole, isn't he?
He is, and I actually think I think Albert Pujols is a great first baseman, but I think he goes after balls to a fault. Sometimes it gets him in trouble because he's too aggressive. I think a perfect example is the perfect game, or the almost perfect game, the Galarraga perfect game a couple years ago. Miguel Cabrera went so far towards second base that it would have been a routine play for the second baseman. As it was, it's a tough bang-bang play. The pitcher's got to get over. And even though he was out, it ended up costing him a perfect game that night. And I think I see it all the time. I see it all the time, a first baseman trying to do too much over there. And more often than not, it costs you.
Field to first. Didn't go there, says Ted Barrett. Vernon Wells 0 for 3. He went this offseason, and he lives in Texas. He actually did some work with the Cubs hitting coach Rudy Jaramillo. Mickey Hatcher said, hey, no big deal. He's working with a guy who's right by him, and his regular hitting coach is 1,000 miles away. Right side. Let's see if they turn it. There's one. That was nice looking. 4-6-3. That ends the inning.
Manny Burris, the maybe second baseman for the San Francisco Giants, giving Bruce Bochy reason to be excited.
Capital One, and that's tonight on ESPN. David Carpenter, the new pitcher for the Angels, and he'll face Angel Pagan, the former Met, who takes a strike.
Carpenter, a hard-throwing right-hander, 6'3" tall, born in Arlington, Texas, drafted back in '09 by these Angels, made an all-star team last year in the California League. A lot of deception here with this delivery. Good change up there. He would not be a lot of fun for a right-handed hitter, I wouldn't think, Aaron Boone.
Well, especially you haven't seen him. You're Angel. You're struggling to kind of find your timing at the plate, and you face a guy like this that.
Nice job by Pagan, slapping it inside the third baseline. And flops in with a double.
You hope he makes a mistake, huh?
Well, Bruce Bochy can feel good about that because he wants to get Angel Pagan on track. It's been a tough spring for him. He said he wants to see some things the last 9 days here. We see the funky kind of closed off motion, hides the ball, but this he elevates it, and Pagan does a good job with 2 strikes of letting the ball get deep and just shooting it the other way. And this is what Bochy needs to see out of Pagan if he's going to feel good about sticking him in that leadoff spot come opening day.
Now this is one of those spots where you can use a spring training situation to, oh, they got him picked off there. Wow. Pagan leaning the wrong way. I was about to say you get a chance to bunt him over, but Pagan was leaning too far.
And that's a little inexplicable. I mean, you know, you're the go-ahead run in the bottom of the 8th inning. You know it's a bunt situation. You have Gregor Blanco up there. At least he's going to either try and pull the ball. No need to try and get that far off in your primary league. You want to get a good secondary, but
yeah, that's a where you going.
Yeah,
where are you going?
You know, it makes you think that the bunt was definitely on and he wants to get a good lead out there, but the primary lead is not the key. It's the secondary, having yourself into position to read the ball off the bat when they do bunt it. But with no force play at third in that situation, no excuse to get picked off.
I'll tell you what, you get the feeling that they're a little bit concerned about Pagan. They thought he was going to be the answer. Bruce Bochy was talking about tomorrow. His day is to go down to the minor league camp and lead off every inning hitting from the left side, trying to figure that stroke out.
Well, kind of a lot of moving parts, because when you look at this lineup for the Giants, the guy at the plate has kind of played himself onto the team, Gregor Blanco, and he can play center field. So maybe it'll be him in center, Melky Cabrera in left, and then, you know, we'll see what they want to do, whether Belt makes the team and they want to play Huff in the outfield or whether it's Sherholtz. There are a lot of different ways they can go if it's not Pagan.
Well, and a lot of them are switch hitters. It's going to be a case of you're going to see a lot of Bruce Bochy probably playing the hot hand. But this is something Blanco has done not only today, but all spring long. Work the count, really have an idea, and knowing that speed is an asset for him, trying to get on base.
Yeah, right there, Blanco grounds out to second, and there's 2 away.
Well, the sad part about that is he'd be getting high fives from everybody in that dugout right now if the leadoff guy hadn't gotten picked off.
And here's Hector Sanchez.
Rookie of the year in winter ball over in Venezuela. As Bruce Bochy said, got the clock started last year. And he was brought to the big leagues, 13 games. Kind of like what they did with Buster Posey back in 2009 when brought him up at the end of the year.
Get your feet wet a little bit.
Coach said, get the clock started. I hadn't heard that before.
Yep. Well, and catching is a position that the Giants have a lot of depth. You were talking to Boch earlier, I know, Rick.
Well, he loves Tommy Joseph, too. 2nd round draft pick.
Oh, a hammer to right field. And so that base running miscue by Pagan really stings after the 2-out knock.
Well, a big, strong catcher. Looks like he gets an off-speed pitch. A little tailing fastball out over the plate and just rips it in the hole. A good, strong lower half. You see the front side clear. The bat staying back, which would suggest that the power is in there.
I love that balance, too. I know you did as well.
Connor Gillespie now. Tied at 2 here in Scottsdale, bottom of the 8th. The Giants a season ago finished 8 games in back of the Diamondbacks. They held first place as late as August. They really stumbled down the stretch. Ball to strike now.
You know, it seemed, John, like they struggled after they were able to acquire Carlos Beltran.
Yeah, it's weird. July 28th, they beat the Phillies behind Tim Lincecum 4-1. They were up 4 games at that point and finished 25-32. That was the day they acquired Beltran.
And Beltran really did a pretty nice job for him. It's just their supporting cast, their support players offensively all really struggled, and night in and night out, it was a struggle to just score 3 runs. And I don't care how good your pitching is, you've got to be able to manufacture some runs to get to the postseason, especially when you consider what the Diamondbacks were a season ago.
The 1-2 got him swinging. Little changeup running away, and the strikeout ends the inning. On to the 9th here in Scottsdale. 2-2.
Only
continues tomorrow. ESPN 1 Eastern. It's presented by Gillette, as the Yankees will travel to Lake Buena Vista and take on the Atlanta Braves tomorrow, 1 o'clock. Major League Baseball spring training action presented by Gillette. Santiago Casilla will take over on the hill. A sparkling ERA a season ago at 1.74, just shy of 52 innings.
Talk about a shutdown guy.
Part of that elite setup corp for the San Francisco Giants.
When they go deep too, don't
they do.
Afel, Lopez from the left side.
And there is Javier Lopez.
Dave Righetti saying before the game they'd like to get, this would be the first time all spring he pitched on back-to-back occasions. They'd love to bring him in just to face one left-hander today.
Well, Lopez, a guy who absolutely devours left-handed hitters. That matchup guy, as Casilla deals with Jorge Cantu. And a liner to second, Cantu retired. Javier Lopez, part of that nasty Giants bullpen. And here at Scottsdale Stadium, as that bat broke and the business end went flying into the stands, looks like that clipped somebody in the seats. Casilla getting right on Cantu, and that bat snapped. Hopefully that person is okay. I feel like we've seen less of that over the last couple of years.
Yeah, for a while there with those maple bats, we were seeing bats do just that, break big chunks. But the new enforcements they've made, we haven't seen that as much.
You know, in every clubhouse there that I've been in this spring, there's a huge memo up on how they've addressed that issue, and that's the reason that it does not happen as much as it used to.
Yeah, each bat now used in a Major League game has to be approved by Major League Baseball. There's a little dot that's on the bat saying that it has been approved. Definitely something you don't like seeing.
As they tend to the fan in the stands, you guys talk about the broken bats. People focused on the maple. How much of it is a generation raised on aluminum bats that are essentially looking for a balance, sort of like an aluminum bat, really skinny handle and a big barrel, and that creates an imbalance?
I think it's the skinny barrel and the lighter bat that you've seen kind of come in over the last 20, 25 years. Just lends itself to more broken bats.
Well, that is not good. That fan is going to have to be taken out by the medical staff. And again, Jorge Cantu, the bat breaking and effectively spinning, helicoptering back behind the plate.
Ben got him back.
Dan. EMTs are here, but we had one.
Now, what's tough there is everybody's looking straight ahead at the field, and you're pretty much behind the plate, and you're not anticipating that the bat's going to go in that direction. And not that you're ever sitting there waiting for the bat to break, but as they attend to that fan who was struck by the broken bat. We'll take a break here in Scottsdale. Back in Scottsdale as they put the woman on the gurney there, and good news that she was able to make her way to the cart on her feet, but a serious situation as she was struck by that broken bat from Jorge Cantu.
And just another sobering reminder that when you're at baseball games, I see it all the time as a player. Pay attention. Balls come in, bats can come into the stands, unlike any other sport, and it can do some damage. You need to be vigilant, especially when you're sitting close to the action.
And that's really the case in spring training. They've gotten the fans as close as they possibly can it really makes it for a great experience as long as you pay attention.
Fair ball off the bat. A Trumbo rocketed into the corner. And he'll take a big turn at second with one out. One of the storylines for the Angels is the fact that Mark Trumbo is making the move from first to third base. He's had a couple of chances today. What have you guys thought? What have you seen so far, Aaron?
So far, I've been impressed. I thought one play where he came in on, which he talked about early in camp, where he had to charge and almost a swinging bunt situation. That's the one area that he said has been a process for him, but I thought he's handled himself pretty well over there. The one play where he missed the tag at third base is something that you got to have a feel for, but all in all, I think he can do an adequate job.
Go with the lefty due up. Bruce Bochy will get his southpaw in to match up. We take a break. Tied at 2 in the ninth. One out with a man at second, and Bruce Bochy going with the new pitcher. His matchup lefty Javier Lopez, and again left-handers just 163 against him. Mike Scioscia will counter the move and bring up Adam Heather, a right-handed hitter. So the go-ahead run in scoring position. Trumbo out there at second after that one-out double. Let's go down to Tim Kirchin.
John, I saw the middle-aged woman who got hit in the head with the bat, and she was conscious, and they were putting her on a stretcher. And even though there was blood on her and she wasn't looking very good, she was clearly conscious enough to be able to carry on a conversation with the medic. So from a distance, it looks like she's going to be okay. But the lesson here, of course, is you really have to pay attention. Not like this was her fault, but these spring training games, you are right on top of the play here, and especially here at Scottsdale. So the rule is, I never let my children sit anywhere except for behind a screen, especially in spring training. This is very, very dangerous if you don't have your eye on the field at all times.
All right, so the news appears to be pretty good that at least she was conscious, able to talk with the paramedics there. But a scary scene here at Scottsdale Stadium. Lopez back to work, and a 4-pitch walk right there. So as Mike Scioscia counters the move, Lopez not able to fire strikes against the right-handed hitter.
Even though opening day for these teams is about 10 days away, it's starting to get that feel. Bochy wanted to bring in Lopez to face a left-handed hitter. You know, Mike Scioscia wants to win the ballgame.
And a right-hander up as Sanford continues to loosen. Here's Angels catcher Hank Conger.
Hank, the catcher of the future for the Angels, having a good spring so far. Switch hitter.
Right now it looks like it'll be Chris Iannetta as the starter and Wilson as the backup. And obviously they want this guy to get at bats. And the fans a little frustrated with Javier Lopez. As a lefty and a righty, Taylor and Tillman get loose out there. Kickoff play on.
John, I go back a couple of years ago to the Futures game, which, as you guys know, is one of my favorite events of the year. The game was played in Anaheim, and it was their own prospect, Hank Conger, with a big home run, who walked away with the MVP of that ball game.
Missed again. Last year is a big-time struggle. Jeff Mathis got the bulk of the duty. And look at that. On base, slugging, 28th out of 30 teams. And it's pretty clear that one of the moves they made in dealing away Mike Napoli really came back to haunt them.
Yeah, and it haunted them down the stretch because Napoli kept hitting big homers when the Angels were trying to get back in that race. And,
right through there.
Yep.
Mike Napoli, just a monster season last year for Texas. Lopez continues to have trouble locating the strike zone. It's now the bases loaded up with one out.
But you know what? This is good for him. And the reason why is, like I said, it's the first time all spring that he's gone out there on back-to-back days. He'll see what he does here, the struggles that he's had, and he'll improve on it the next time he has this situation.
No.
Tell you what, Lopez was a big part of them winning that World Series a couple of years ago. He shut down every left-hander he faced.
You're right. Remember, he was struggling in Boston when they made the trade for him. It was kind of an afterthought. A post-deadline waiver wire deal, and he came over and took that very good bullpen and lengthened it and made it a lights-out bullpen.
Jason Hayward, Ryan Howard, a couple of the left-handers that he had to come upon and retire, and was able to do that.
Amarista takes outside.
Amarista, lefty on lefty, even though he's struggling with his command a little bit this inning, a tough draw, probably has never faced Lopez. Really, that angle, you just want to try and see the ball. Sounds simple, but when you're facing a specialist lefty on lefty like that hides the ball, an angle you're not used to seeing, really locating the ball is the biggest thing. Not swinging at balls off the plate. If you can do that, you give yourself an opportunity, especially here where you just want to get the ball in the air.
10 out of 12 pitches outside the strike zone. Make it 11 out of 13. Now again, he's getting work here, but during the regular season, after he walks the lefty, he's out of the game, correct?
No question. No question about that. Of course, Mike Scioscia said, I'm not going to give you a lefty to walk.
That one ripped to the corner. Fair ball, and Amarista can really run. 2 runs in, and that's going to clear the bases. Oh, did I speak too soon? No, I didn't. Conger gets in. Amarista into third, a bases clearing triple, 5-2.
Well, a really impressive at-bat by Amarista. Again, a tough draw facing this left-hander. He works the count to 3-1 and then gets the pitch down and in, and he lets it fly and hammers it into the corner. And that's one of those at-bats there that we talk about that can really leave an impression on a manager. Mike Scioscia sees that quality of a bat off a tough lefty. That'll stick in the back of his mind when it comes time to call a certain player up. He'll remember that.
So tough outing for Javier Lopez. Angels break the tie, 5-2 Los Angeles. Back here in Scottsdale is Javier Lopez with a tough outing. Bases clearing triple from Alexei Amarista, and Luis Rojas will take over. A-ball last year. 29 appearances, a 4.87 ERA. And Amarista third with just one down, and Ryan Kinnery will take over. Rick Sutcliffe is a pitcher. At what point in spring training do results start to matter?
Well, it depends on whether you're Tim Lincecum or Luis Rojas. if you're Tim Lincecum, my answer for you, Boog, is never. I mean, it really doesn't matter. You just got to get your work in. You want to lengthen things out so that on opening day, you're not held back. You could get to 100 pitches if things were going well. Rojas in this situation right here, all eyes are upon him. For Lopez, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's on the ball club. They know what he's done in the past. This is a big spot for the kid, though.
Booney, what about for a hitter?
I would agree. Never. I mean, there's been springs where I've felt good from the start and got off to a bad start in the season. So, again, it's hopefully you're getting the work in, you're getting your endurance up, you're seeing enough pitches to where when you head into the regular season, it's like you're in the middle of the season. But results, not really an issue.
Infield in. And popped up left side.
Luke, I can honestly tell you that there were guys in spring training. Now, this was after I had become established and knew I was pitching opening day, where I literally would try to make them look as good as I possibly could because I'd found a hole. I knew where I could get them out. I was not going to throw that pitch in spring training. And you try to give them something that they can handle where the manager might say, hey, when we go up against such, but this is the guy we want in that lineup.
Almost setting them up, you're saying.
There were a lot of those things. And these managers do the same things with each other. Not so much a National League and an American League club, but, when you're going to face a team a lot of times, as a manager, you might try to set the hook.
There's that GPA in effect.
You know what? It makes sense. I never got there. I always wanted to do well, whether the results were there or not. But it makes sense. Why not? If you know you've got a guy, don't show him what you want to show him.
I'm dying to mention a couple of names that I did that to, but they would never forgive me.
Amarista, the 3-run triple, and the Angels lead it 5-2 going to the bottom of the ninth. Bottom of the ninth here in Scottsdale. Major League Baseball spring training on ESPN presented by Gillette. 5-2 Angels. And the new pitcher will be the right-hander Daniel Tillman. In the minors last year, a 2.30 ERA that covered 74 1/3 innings. The strikeouts jump out better than a strikeout an inning.
Look, I can't tell you what a thrill it is for a guy like Daniel Tillman in a spot like this. Having been that kid with the high number, you're down there at the minor league camp, you're working your rear end off, and all of a sudden you show up to the park that morning and they go, hey, you're one of the guys that's going to go up and pitch in the big league game if needed. Well, a lot of times you never get in, or if you do get in, it's because the game is out of hand. This is a great situation right here. You got a 3-run lead. You got an opportunity to pick up a save and get the attention of Mike Scioscia and his staff.
And again, the point that you made, when do results matter? Well, for Daniel Tillman, the results matter.
And the important part right now, come in throwing strikes.
Yep.
Come in and throw strikes. Show the manager that you can slow down the adrenaline you're going to have right now and compete.
Plant that seed in Mike Scioscia's mind.
First offering to Joe Panik. This guy, Panik, native of New York, just outside of New York City, Yonkers. Don't get a ton of big league players or even professional players from out of that area. Good last name.
No panic so far in this at bat.
Comes at 2-0.
You like that? You're down by 3. Take a strike. Pretty good pitch to go along with that.
This guy was their first-round pick last year. One of the things with the Giants is that they have really nailed their first-round picks, and that's been crucial to their success. Tillman behind 3-1. And the righty fires. And he walked him. And that is exactly not what Mike Scioscia was looking for. You go back to 0-2, Matt Cain, frontline starter. David Aardsma, a reliever who has been a good big league pitcher. Lincecum, Bumgarner, Posey go without saying. They dealt Wheeler in the Beltran trade. Gary Brown had a breakout year last year. And here's Joe Panik. I mean, look, that is how Brian Sabean has built this organization.
If you're Joe Panik and you see that list right there, you're thinking, I got a chance to turn out. If they're seeing, if the Giants are seeing something in me, it's a pretty good sign. That's a pretty good run that the Giants have had of a lot of impact, even more than impact.
Well, and I think
star
about
major leaguers.
The guy, Aaron, that did that, and that's their general manager, Brian Sabean. I mean, for a long time, this organization was all about one guy, Barry Bonds. And when all of a sudden that career ended, Brian Sabean deserved an opportunity to rebuild this organization, and he has every bit he has done that.
And when you go and look, I've gotten a chance to do the All-Star game the last 2 years for ESPN Radio. You get a chance to do it. So you look at rosters, you got to nail your first-round pick. And when you look at those All-Star rosters, for the guys that are draft eligible, the majority of players on the roster are first-round picks. You got to nail it. The Giants have, at least over the course of the past decade.
I think about the Red Sox and what Theo Epstein has done there. You mentioned John Lester. Well, there was your #1 pick back in 2002. Every year the Red Sox have had a guy come along and make an impact that came from their system.
I mean, look, whether it's their team or not, you look at the Yankees. Left side of the infield, Jeter, A-Rod, first-round picks. Teixeira, first-round pick. As well, CC Sabathia, first-round pick. You know, they're just Nick Swisher, first-round pick.
I'll give you a first-round pick that the Yankees drafted. It's not there anymore, Ian Kennedy. But that trade worked out pretty well for everybody.
Belt has worked a full count. Angels Leading at 5-2, Alexi Amarista with a 3-run triple to break a 2-all tie in the top half of this 9th inning.
It's a big spot for the young man here. You make a nice pitch down in the zone, get a ground ball double play. It can be an outstanding afternoon for you.
Liner to left field. And a catch not able to be made out there as Panic will move up to second. 2 on and nobody out.
Well, there is Brandon Belt's strength out over the plate, and he drives it to left field. A good effort out there, but comes up just short, and just like that, the tying run comes to the plate with nobody out for the Giants here in the home half of the 9th. Ryan Kinnery with a nice effort out there in left field, but just short.
At the conclusion of our game, college basketball will come your way as UMass and Stanford in our first NIT semifinal from Madison Square Garden. Again, that's at the top of the hour. Here's Emmanuel Burris, who's gone the whole way out there at second. And with Freddie Sanchez ailing, Bruce Bochy telling us he will not be ready for opening day. Now, they have Ryan Theriot and Mike Fontenot, but it looks like this guy may be their opening day second baseman.
I think he has all but won that job. It's still said to be open, but played very good offensively. They love his speed. That may very well be one of those positions for the Giants that, again, is the hot hand. You got Theriot, you got Fontenot. Who's hot? Play the matchups. Burris, on the strength of a strong spring, getting a very good look here as we near opening day.
Yeah, Freddie Sanchez, that right shoulder injury. And the two veterans, Fontenot and Theriot, teammates at LSU, that national title winner. Kinnery there, diving and able to make the grab. So 1 down now. All right, so you look at late in the game and Ryan Kinnery getting a chance to show himself off a little bit.
Nice diving play there after getting a bit of a slow start on it. I think he thought it was hit a little better than it actually was, but fortunately for Kinnery, able to close on it and turn in a nice play out there.
Joaquin.
Keep that time run from getting on base.
Joaquin Arias now up to hit. All right, so what have you seen today, fellas? I would think Brad Mills would be one of the things that would stand out from this game.
No doubt. He had 5 outstanding innings. Borges, what I've seen there, swinging the bat even better than he did a year ago. Trumbo looked okay at third base defensively. That's all they're asking for there. Albert was Albert, of course. On the other side for the Giants, to me, Lincecum, he looks like he's good to go on April the 6th. His 4th consecutive opening day. That'll be against the Diamondbacks. Posey with a couple of nice throws. Blanco. Hector Sanchez. I like what I saw there, Aaron.
Well, Rick, I think that about covers it. You know what? I think it's a big day for Buster Posey. Back-to-back games catching for the first time this spring. I think if you're Bruce Bochy and the Giants, you're very encouraged by what you saw back there. Hopefully it responds tomorrow favorably, which all signs would suggest that it will. Because that guy you need in the middle of this lineup this year if you're going to get back and be the team you think you can be.
I know health is going to be the focus for Buster Posey, but do you worry that he's going to come back and put too much pressure on himself to carry the offense?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the bottom line is he's a great player and a great hitter. And You know, I think he expects to do well, and he will do well. And the bottom line is there's enough surrounding him that if question marks are answered, if Melky Cabrera, if Pablo Sandoval, that gives him a good enough supporting cast. If Aubrey Huff can bounce back, they have the answers down there. It's whether those guys have the years they're capable of to be that supporting cast.
Yep, pretty much covers it, Eric.
Tillman continues to struggle, and now the bases are loaded. And Mike Scioscia with the walk to the hill, and he's going to make a pitching change.
The one thing that you just did not want to see out of your young pitcher is not being able to command that strike zone.
Another pitching change here in Scottsdale. We'll take a break. Angels on top 5-2. Jeremy Berg takes over on the mound. Try to close this thing down as the Angels lead it 3-2, but one out. And the Giants have the bases loaded, and Brett Pill at the plate.
Pill, a big right-handed hitter who is likely on the team, Rick, and they like his right-handed bat. Had a huge year in AAA last season, 25 homers, over 100 RBI. They feel like he can be a valuable piece from the right side off the bench. You see the strong season he had in Fresno a season ago. Ball comes off his bat. Jumps off his bat, watching him take batting practice today.
And again, the Angel relievers having trouble throwing strikes. First Tillman, now Berg.
That's never been a problem for Berg throughout his minor league career. Always been a guy around the strike zone.
And a knee-high strike. 5-2 game, bottom of the ninth. Left field, well hit, and caught by Kinnery. Just missed it. Panic into score, and it's 5-3.
He might have just missed it, but I tell you what, that's the kind of swing you want to see in a situation like that. If he wasn't on the team before that at bat, Aaron Boone, I got a feeling he is now.
Well, you're facing a guy you probably haven't faced, a side armor as a right-handed hitter. Gets a count in his favor, gets a pitch he can handle. Might have caught it just off the end, but a very good at bat from a guy looking to knock the door down to the big leagues.
So 2 down now, and Angel Pagan will step in. Pagan, who doubled his last time up, but then was picked off a second.
Pagan searching for that timing, and a good 2-strike swing his last time in hitting that double down the left field line. Very versatile guy, speed, can play all 3 outfield positions, a switch hitter. They're counting on big things from Angel Pagan this season.
That's the play right there that everybody hates, but I like to say it never works until it works.
Exactly.
That's a play that works when it doesn't work. That's the tying run at first base.
Yep.
And if he's going to take off on your first move, he would have picked him off right there with that move.
I also think it should be a balk because it falls exactly under the guidelines of intent to deceive the base runner.
You don't have to argue with me on that, Bert.
Oh, I can feel Sut looking at me. Nothing like arguing the rule book with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th, right? That one fouled off. Yeah, the count 1-2 on Pagan.
These are the kind of at-bats, excuse me, John, where, Pagan struggled this spring, but, you have a 2-strike swing in your last at-bat. You hit the ball the other way how you want. Then right there, you foul off a good pitch, take a good swing at it. These are the things that can get you where you want to be.
Well, the Angels where they want to be today as they win it 5-3. Up next, the NIT semifinals, UMass and Stanford. For Rick Sutcliffe, Aaron Boone, and Tim Kirkjian, I'm John Shambi. Thanks for joining us. 5-3 Angels win it. Now to Madison Square Garden. Mike Patrick, Bill Raftery, and Fran Fraschilla.